Hello everybody and welcome back to another video here on my channel. Of course, we are going over my March TBR, and also I need to leave fairly soon, so why not record a whole video right before I have to leave. As always, February was a short month, so we are wrapping up that month and also starting a new month. So let's go ahead, get into it, and start pulling prompts for my March TBR. I'm not gonna lie, last month I didn't really stick to my TBR very well. It was more of I wanted to read some books and I kind of strayed off, and then there were some other things I got from the library and I just didn't have on my TBR. And then this month I know I have a reading vlog planned and I'm using the library for that as well. So we will see how this month goes regarding TBR. Choosing for prompt number 1, it says a book from my favorite genre. Technically my favorite genres in general are fantasy, a little bit of sci-fi, and also mystery or thriller, more so thriller. So I'm gonna say fantasy is going to be my favorite genre because out of those three, that is my top one. So let me see what I got. Choosing a fantasy book, I'm gonna actually take this opportunity to, instead of starting a new series, continue on a new series. And I just recently picked up this book. It is actually Glass Sword. It is book 2 in the Red Queen. I think it's like 4 books or 5 books. I have 3 of them now officially, and I've read the first one and I've read it also, like I said, in paperback, and I had this one in paperback, but I could never find the next of the series besides those first 2 in the paperbacks that I had. They wouldn't match. I could only find the more new stuff. So then I decided, since I have 10% off at half price books for every single month of the year, or I guess in sets of 2, and instead of buying books and adding to my physical TBR, I thought, why not switch out books that I wanted to get potentially in hardback. So this is one of those, and I really like how Red Queen ended off. I do believe I rated it 4 stars. It might have been 4.5 stars, and I'm very interested or invested to kind of continue the series, especially because I just read it, I think in like November, give or take, maybe August. It hasn't been that many months ago, so now I feel like it's the time to continue on with my series and try and wrap up a lot of the series that I'm in the middle of. Choosing for prompt number 2. Ooh, okay. A book with chapter titles. I think also this is on my bingo in my reading journal, so that would be good if I haven't already crossed that off. Again, I'm gonna take this opportunity to try and continue a series. I think in the month of January, I actually ended up reading the second book in this series out of a 5-book series, and I definitely want to finish this. I think it's pretty decent. I think the second book was both as good and better than the first book, but also not as good as the first book. I don't know if that makes sense, but that is kind of how I've been feeling. And this is actually Percy Jackson, book number 3, which is called The Titan's Curse. This has both numbers, but also it says a little sentence to basically describe what the chapter is going to be about. And I just feel like, honestly, completing the series, it's not a bad series, and I've been very interested in it, but I also feel like it's one of those that I would have loved completely, or like loved a lot more in middle school, but I'm reading it in my 20s, and I feel like maybe I should have read it a lot sooner. However, this is a good one to try and cross off this whole series as well. Choosing for prompt number 3. Oh goodness, this one's really long. It says a book with a cover you find beautiful. Okay, I feel like this one is so nice to have. I have so many of these that I find so beautiful on my shelf. I'm actually between 2 different books here at the moment, because one of the other books that I really want to read, that I find the cover so beautiful, it's also one that I said I need to kind of complete one series before I hop into this, because it's a start of a new series as well, but it's more so, I think it follows the same world. It is by the author who wrote An Ember in the Ashes, and I've seen somewhere where you're not necessarily supposed to read that whole series, but it's good to read that whole series and then go into Air, and I think it might be a duology later, but right now it's just one book. So I'm between 2 books. We do have Provenance. This is a Christian book that I actually got from my library. I bought it from my library because they were getting rid of it, and I love how the cover looks. I feel like it's really pretty. I do believe this is somewhere in California though, so I'm not really excited about that part, but I feel like because of this other book that I'm going to be holding up, I have kind of not necessarily burnt myself out, but I feel like I was just going a little bit too heavy into my Western kick in a way. So I feel like this is a good one because it's still Christian, not so much Western, and it's a really pretty cover. Otherwise, I do have a very complete opposite but Western book, which is called Boonslick by Larry McMurtry, who wrote also Loads of Dove, and I as well love this cover so much. It is so pretty to me, and it's completely different. They're both kind of artwork covers. Like this one's more of a drawing or a painting, and then of course this is the same style, but they're just 2 completely different aesthetics, and I love both of them because I love the Western look, but also I love more of this painting style. I just find this really pretty. I don't know which one I'd rather do. It says that an interior designer and also a former foster kid is in high demand, both for her impeccable eye and for her uncanny ability to uncover the provenance of any piece. But for all of her success, skyrocketing costs have put her California home and her business in jeopardy. Then an unexpected inheritance provides a timely solution. A grandmother she never knew has left her a group of historic properties in a tiny Colorado town on the edge of ruin. To young, untried Mayor Gabriel, Jasper Lake is more than another small town. It's a place that saved his life. Now seeing the town slowly wither and die, he's desperate to restore it to its former glory. Unfortunately, his vision is at odds with the local developer who wants to see see the town razed and rebuilt as a summer resort. So basically, if I'm understanding this correctly, it's a Christian fiction book, maybe subplot of romance, also small town resurrecting the small town that's going to ruin. This actually sounds so interesting, and obviously that's why I picked it up besides the cover. So I think out of these two, I am gonna pick this book. Take a chance, even though it's not on any of my lists that I have. It's something that I just bought this year, but it'd be kind of nice to tackle it and see if I really enjoy it, and maybe it'll open up my horizons to more of this author's books. Choosing for prompt number 4, I think because I'm gonna do 2 books in a reading vlog, maybe more, I'm just gonna pick 5 books. I mean, I don't really have to follow my TBR, but it'd be kind of nice to, or at least to try and stick to it as much as possible. Okay, this one says plants or flowers on the cover. I think I have a couple of those. Every once in a while, I feel the need to put a challenging book or a book I'm not super excited about or kind of just hesitant about on my TBR, and half the time I feel like I don't get to it. There is potential. This book I've had for, actually this whole series, I've had for a couple years, since at least we were stationed in Las Vegas, because I think that's where I found it when thrifting. Also, this book is one that I read 1 book from this author, or 2 in total, but 1 book I loved and then the other book I didn't really like. It's also more romance. I'm not a big romance reader. I also am more Christian when it comes to romance because I like the more clean stuff, and this author is not necessarily clean, I'm gonna say. It's one of those that because it sat on my shelves, I also put it on my 26 and 26. It is as well a start to a new series, but at least it's just a trilogy, and I've heard mixed reviews. Most of the people say they like book 1 and 3, but not book 2. Some people have loved the entire series. I don't know, to be honest, but it is actually Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score. Like I said, I've had this for a very long time, and I feel like it might be time, especially with the cover. It's giving me more spring and summer, and we're getting into spring. I feel like it might be time to try and pick this up. Since I've been burning myself out just a little bit with westerns and some other books, maybe we should just totally flip the script and read a romance. This one in particular though, I'm both kind of excited to get it off my physical TBR to see if I like it, and also to hopefully, if I like it enough, I'll keep it on my shelf and I'll add to my shelf, because I don't really have a big that wide on my bookcase, just full of romance books. More so romance only, not subplot, because I feel like most of the books have subplot of romance in one way or another. But I don't know, I don't really have too much opinion, I guess, going into this, except for that, like I said, I liked 1 book and I didn't like 1 book from her, but I've only read 2 books, so I guess we will completely see if maybe she's an author for me, or maybe I should just kind of cut my losses and continue on with other romances. And finally, choosing for prompt number 5, let's hopefully get a good one. Actually, I feel like all of these prompts have been pretty good. Never mind, even better, we have my all-time favorite one. If not a random number generator, we have my wheel chooses which shelf and which book on that shelf. So the last time I did this, I actually had 3 shelves. Technically, I have 2 shelves at the very bottom of these bookcases. They are my physical TBR, but I do have right underneath this shelf with Harry Potter, it's my old books, so I included that. And I think how we did it is we started with 1, 2 was old books, 3 was my unread bookshelf down at the bottom. Spinning the wheel, I'm kind of hoping that it's going to be on shelf, I'm going to say 2, no 3, because 3 was the bottom one. I want to say 3. I got it. All right, real quick, let me figure out how many books are on that shelf. I have everything in my wheel except for Percy Jackson and also Things We Never Got Over. I'm gonna skip that entire series because you obviously know why, they're on my TBR already. So let's, without further ado, go ahead and spin. I don't know which book I honestly want. I did have Frontier Lady on last month's TBR and I didn't get to read it, so it is sitting at the top of my shelf. So hopefully we don't get that one because I'll have to re-put it on. Wicked. Okay, hold on. This is a perfect one with our first TBR prompt. I really considered, because this is a fantasy book and is continuing a series, I thought about picking this book up, but then I thought better about Glass Sword, and now I'm super excited because I feel like we basically got what I wanted. This is actually The Wicked King. This is book 2. I've read book 1, didn't really care much for it, but a lot of the people who talked to me about it said that book 1 was just setting up for the rest of the series. Book 2 and definitely book 3 gets so much better, so I have a lot of hopes for this book, and ever since then I've been kind of intrigued to hop back into it. So we do have The Wicked King and I'm so excited about this. And there you have it. That is all the books that I hope to read in the month of March. Also, every single one of these books is blue. I don't know how we did that, and I'm also wearing blue. I find this very weird, not gonna lie, but I hope to at least accomplish every single one of these that is continuing on a series, and I'm super excited about every single one of these, to be honest. I have not had a really bad prompt in a while, which honestly scares me for next month because I might have just jinxed myself. I hope that March is a really good reading month. So thank you all so much for watching. I hope you guys all enjoyed this video. Be sure to subscribe, keep up with my channel for any other reading vlogs here in the future or any other videos that I've already posted. I have a lot of videos that I have posted, a lot of book videos and other type videos too if you're curious. So thank you all again. I hope to see you in another video here on my channel, and as always, God bless.